Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. The Accessibility Awards took place in Whitby, Ontario back in April. Alex Smythe had a chance to speak with nominees and winners. Alex, who do you have lined up to show off today?
Yeah, Dave. So we're continuing our coverage, and what we kind of found as we kind of went through the interviews of all the different nominees at the awards, that there was like different kind of, I guess, pockets or categories. They all naturally kind of fell under. So today we're exploring advocacy within the community. And so the first one that I want to share with you is an interview I had with Julie Grant, who developed an online database for accessible playgrounds in and around the region, and this was something that she reflected on why she first got involved with this project. Here's Julie with more.
So my son Jude, he's now 2.5. He has cerebral palsy and global developmental delay. And so at the age of 2, we got him his first walker. And we were trying to help him learn how to use it and wanted to integrate that into his play experiences. We knew that giving him the experience of playing with other children and being outside, that would help him be able to learn how to use it the best. And unfortunately, where we live, we don't have any inclusive playgrounds or playgrounds that use rubber surfacing that are really like the easiest surface for him to use his walker on. And so I just felt like it was such an inequality and like an access issue that he was missing out on play experience because of that.
Alex, you and I have been covering accessibility in public spaces for a long time, and I've done plenty of story about accessible playgrounds, but I always wonder about someone who might be a little bit less plugged in regards to how difficult it is to find an accessible playground.
Yeah, and as we know very well, accessibility means a lot of different things for a lot of different people, depending on the disability and the needs. As she mentioned in that clip, it was trying to find a place that had that rubber kind of mat, that surface, because most playgrounds are either sand or wood chips, which if you have a walker, that's not going to be a very functional option. She said it was extremely difficult, extremely challenging finding anything close. She highlights, why it was important not only for her to do it, but then kind of some of the response that she started getting once she started doing this project, because I was shocked just how far away the closest playground was to her that would have been accessible for her son. Here she is.
We realized that the nearest playground to us that has rubber surfacing is 64 kilometers away. And so they were hard to find. We weren't able to locate them easily if we weren't familiar with the area. And so I just felt, like I would try to take the time, and I ended up phoning over 300 municipalities across the province to ask them if they had a playground with rubber. I gathered photos and information about them and essentially built the database into the website.
What has the response been from that database, from that website, from other parents who, like you, were just trying to find an inclusive space for their children?
Right. It's actually been surprising. I didn't think, starting it, I just thought I would create this resource for families like ours, and I just hoped that it would be helpful to someone. Then through the website, we have like a contact me page. And so after it went live, I was shocked when emails actually started to come through. And I had parents asking, do you have tips on how we can build an inclusive playground at our school? Various municipality staff were reaching out. Just with questions as to like, how can we build something? Just questions around how they can get involved with their community and how can they raise money to build a space. And so inspiring in that sense, because my background is nursing, so it's not really related to playgrounds in any way, but it was nice that people were reaching out to me and seeing me as this advocate and person that could maybe help them create something that we're both obviously so passionate about too.
Alex, the words that come to mind here are curation and crowdsourcing. Julie starts with the curation, and all of a sudden crowdsourcing happens, and then you curate the crowdsourcing, and you start putting these pieces together that ends up becoming a resource.
Well, yeah, when you can collect information from truly passionate people, because everyone who is contributing to this are really passionate because they have that personal connection, because they are trying to improve access not only for within their community, but for others who have kind of children with needs or want to create greater access. It is such an effective kind of network that you can really call upon. And we've seen this with a bunch of different disability kind of groups like Access Now. Again, another one where, you know, you tap into the network of users who have that experience, who are in those communities, who can share from the personal anecdote, who can be there and actually give feedback as someone who has accessibility needs. What is available? What's not available? Hey, you should know about this one as well, because when you can collaborate, you can bring all that information together. It's one easy place people can go to get the information they need.
You also had a chance to speak with Trevor Smith. Why was he nominated?
Yeah, so Trevor was nominated in the category around volunteerism and support. So he was nominated originally for his work volunteering at the Ability Center. He has since then gone on to become an employee at the facility, and he talks just about how, you know, it's such a great kind of example and model for businesses, for community facilities, to highlight how you can make a space accessible if you put the intention, if you put the effort behind it, and you go in with the right mindset. And here's Trevor with more.
I think it's just really important to have accessibility as a big thought into everything that businesses and workplaces do. It has to be like a very important piece, because it makes the difference as to whether or not people with disabilities can be a part of an organization or can be included. It allows people with disabilities to be included. So that's why, to me, it has to be the #1 thought in everything that businesses and workplaces do.
Lastly, you had a chance to speak with a young author who was nominated for her book that promoted inclusion. What was her story?
Yeah, so lastly, it was Talina Papazian. She wrote the book You Taught Me, and this was all inspired by her connection with her brother and how her experiences early on, because she's still very young, but she's so passionate about fostering inclusion and building that community, and she's had a number of different experiences that really inspired how, you know, you can build up inclusion, accessibility. You can create a space that everyone feels welcomed. And so I came away very impressed from my chat with Talina, and here's a bit from her.
So I never thought I was going to be an author, not what I had planned, but my younger brother has a peanut allergy, and for me that is considered a hidden disability because there's so much around it, so many challenges, so many moments where there's a lot of social isolation. So at 6 years old, I realized I had to do something, I just didn't know what. Then I started volunteering at a hospital for children with disabilities, and I saw that so many other children with different situations are also facing this social isolation. And at that moment, I was like, I have to do something. And that's where the words "you taught me" came into my head, because the kids taught me so much more than I taught them. And so I kind of just drafted it one night and I went from there.
And what has the response been from the book?
It's been amazing. I've partnered with so many organizations. Some kids, they really gravitate to it because it doesn't single out an individual with a disability, but rather it really includes them in the story, and it's just like any other kid in the book. So they really gravitate towards it, and it's really exciting to see.
Alex, you said you were quite struck by Talina. Why?
Well, it's just someone so young, being so passionate about what she's doing. Now, what we didn't include in the clip, she's already kind of laid out her plans for where she wants to go from here. Like she wants to write another book. The book that You Taught Me is already getting translated into other languages. She wants to go into the healthcare field to specifically help those with disabilities. And I think it's just someone at that stage in life having that kind of foresight, that sort of understanding is like, I want to help other people, specifically focus in on the disability community. And it's just impressed what she's been able to accomplish already. And I wasn't even the only one. An interview that we'll hear from tomorrow, Kate Chung, she actually mentioned, but as we were getting set up for the interviews, it's like, wow, I'm just impressed by, someone so young and just full of, hope and excitement to support the community. It just goes to show that the next generation is coming. They're building. They're going to work hard to make sure that inclusion and accessibility continue to get pushed forward.
Yeah, the steps, the dominoes, the momentum, whatever turn of phrase you want to use, it's very clear that there's a new generation coming. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.